very soon also realized that we couldn't do anything really. We couldn't save anyone, we couldn't help anyone. Today actually some people still suffer and see the pictures and have to learn to deal with these pictures. And for other people it is like a bad dream.
The problem was that the bodies and debris were dispersed over a very, very wide area, approximately 40 square kilometers, a corridor 20 kilometers long and 2 kilometers wide.
It was the largest police operation in the province of Baden-Württemberg, lasting a week and involving over 6,000 people. The policeman is standing where the DHL plane crashed.
Here you see no more trees. The trees have completely burned down. We assume that the turbines of the Boeing separated first, approximately 700 to 800 meters high before this plane crashed. One landed 300 meters that way, and the other turbine was another 500 meters that way.
In this garden lay many of the bodies of the children of Ufa.
In this part died 28 children. In this field there was a child. More over here in this field there was a
When they showed a close-up of an airplane, I saw an emblem of our Bashkirian Airlines on the rear of the aircraft. I was in the kitchen. Everybody was still asleep. I nearly fainted. I leaned to the table. I didn't know what to do.
The Kononov family lost their only daughter. Irina Degtyaryeva lost her only child.
We hoped for some kind of a miracle, that he missed the plane. In a word, we didn't want to believe in this news. It was like thunder in a clear sky, and God forbid anyone gets news like this.
Vitaly Kaloyev, the Russian architect, was awaiting his family in Barcelona. He's one of the first to arrive in Überlingen. And although relatives aren't encouraged to participate in the search, Vitaly cannot help himself. Vitaly finds a broken pearl necklace and immediately recognizes it as his 4-year-old daughter's.
My angel.
Amazingly, among all the carnage, Vitaly finds his daughter's body intact.
She did not suffer at all.
The mutilated bodies of his wife and son won't be found until later. Over 6 days of searching, rescue workers gather bodies and body parts scattered all over the southern German countryside.
By Thursday of that week, 2 days later, the relatives started arriving. They could not all see the bodies we'd found because most of the bodies were badly charred or mutilated. We didn't permit the relatives to view the bodies in that condition.
In Ufa, Western Russia, both Christian and Muslim communities are devastated by the loss of their children. In the cemetery where 53 of the Tupolev victims are buried, there are 2 double rows of gravestones, with Christian Orthodox on one side and Muslims on the other, eerily reminiscent of the seating arrangement on the plane. A monument of paper planes frozen in flight commemorates those who perished. This is Kirill's grave, the young talented artist. And this is Alina's, the 12-year-old gymnast. Vitaly Kyloyev, who lost his entire family, designed and built a huge monument in their memory. Day and night, he lingers at the cemetery, inconsolable. After the collision, work at Skyguide decreased dramatically.
People were in a state of shock. They were shocked, they were helpless, there was a lot of sadness, people crying. And we were criticized for being too technocratic after the accident. I have to accept that. One of the biggest tasks was to maintain operations, because there were planes coming in, going out after this tragedy, and that was a very, very difficult situation for everybody.
For the next 3 weeks at the Zurich Air Traffic Control Center, capacity is reduced for lack of available controllers. Peter Nielsen never worked on an air traffic workstation again.
If you go through something like that, you're not able to come back. It's too deep in, and it's too big.
From an emotional point of view, of course, it was shattering. It was, for me, really, really terrible. Terrible in the sense that it happened to one of my colleagues, it happened to our profession, but it also happened to families who lost their children.
The hunt begins for a scapegoat. If 2 planes collide in empty skies, someone must be to blame. At first, some suspect the Russians.
The pilot of the Russian plane is said to have ignored repeated instructions from air traffic controllers. And while the
repeatedly, they contacted the Russian pilot and asked him to change altitude because he was flying at a level where he should not have been. Now, the Russian pilot never responded to those warnings from air traffic control.
The Russian pilots, particularly in Soviet times, and also now, but to a lesser extent, were extremely well trained. I have no concerns about the training of pilots. They've been trained for almost every operational possibility that could happen.
Why did the TCAS device, meant to avoid collisions, in this case maybe help cause one?
And why didn't the Russian plane descend when first ordered? A language problem? Controller commands are always in English.
I knew everybody from that crew. Everybody knew English enough to speak with controller.
So who is to blame? The media spotlight now falls on controller Peter Nielsen, who guided the 2 planes towards each other. They were under his control, so he must have caused them to collide.